gray areas like science and tech, environment, ancient history, medieval history, and art and culture. These are the 5 gray areas. What should be the strategy, and what are the sources to refer to? Hi everyone, welcome back to IS Baba's Toppers Talk. And today we have All India Rank 16 Arth Jain with us. He's a regular follower of IS Baba's initiatives and also a part of our IMP, the interview program. Congratulations, first of all, Arth Jain.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, he's done his engineering from IIT Delhi and he cracks this exam in second attempt. Arth, can you tell us more about yourself?
Sir, so the basic educational background is that I did my schooling from Sanskriti School, and after that, mechanical engineering from IIT Delhi. I graduated in 2019. I gave my first attempt in 2019, where I did not even clear prelims. And in my second attempt, I cleared all 3 stages and got this rank, sir. My optional is maths. That is a basic idea, sir.
Okay. So today, in this particular interview, we'll be focusing on the gray areas as such. Apart from the regular questions on what was your strategy for prelims, mains, all that. I thought this particular session will focus on certain gray areas like environment, science and tech, medieval history,
Yes.
like ancient history, things like that, the sources to
Yes.
refer, etc. So before that, since I mean, you cracked this exam in the second attempt. What were the mistakes that you had committed in the first attempt, and how did you verify? And getting into top 20 is not an easy task. So first of all, how do you feel? And after that, you can say us about what were the mistakes committed and what were the learnings, and how did you improve on?
So I think it still feels unbelievable. Even
Okay.
It's been almost 5-6 days since the result, but
Yeah.
still that happiness is still there, and I wasn't expecting such a good rank. I don't think anyone does, sir. There is so much uncertainty in this exam that you can predict up to, let's say, top 200, but beyond that, and
Yeah.
especially top 20, I don't think anyone can. Sir, about the mistakes in first prelims, I would say basically 2-3 mistakes were there. So one mistake, which is also, I think, kind of like a warning which people should get, because what happens is every topper, they'll say that you need to revise a lot, which is true, but the revision pace also has to be large. For example, if someone says that revise a lot, that does not mean that I revise one book 9 times. Instead, I would say that a better idea is to revise 3 books 3 times, or even better would be 3 books 4 times. So that base of revision needs to be large, because prelims needs that wide knowledge base. And so second mistake was that I did not do sufficient number of tests. I feel that tests give you that problem solving ability. They give you a lot of facts, a lot of knowledge. And I think in general, they make you revise the syllabus. So in first attempt must have been somewhere around 15-20. In second attempt must be somewhere around 220. Sir. I estimated it that much. And so the third mistake, which I think everyone says, is that you have to remain calm in the exam. I remember I panicked in the starting questions, and when I went home and checked the answer key, the questions were right, but I had managed to mess up the remaining paper because of those starting few questions. So again and again, people say, even when I was giving my first attempt, every select candidate would say that you have to remain calm, you have to remain calm. But I think I learned it the hard way only.
Okay. So since you're bought in this factor of revision, the next question I would be talking about revision itself. So how to revise? What is the best way to revise?
Sir, I think tests, sir, because there is this concept of active recall or active revision, that what happens if we revise passively, that is, we read again the highlighted portions which we have marked in the book. Our mind tends to skip the exact same things which we skipped in the first reading. Basically, after a point, that additional reading, the knowledge addition reduces a lot. So personally, I feel that through quizzes and through these test series, it's a much better way. Basically, problem solving, so that we force our mind to recollect instead of just passively reading.
So solving and application of what you have read is very important, basically.
Yes, sir. Yes,
right?
Sir.
Yeah. So the other part is continuing with the same thing. There are 10 more days left for this prelims exam. So what would be your strategy or your advice for the students who are appearing for this year's exam? Of course, you will not be appearing. Yeah, for the next 10 days, what should be the strategy?
So since my brother is appearing, I basically told him two
Okay.
things. That one is that you have to revise certain last minute topics. For example, national parks and states, list of indices, list of biosphere reserves, let's say list of Ashokan inscription sites, list of IBC sites. These are the last minute lists. This you have to do in the last 10 days. And so the other is exam mentality, that attempting the paper in a very calm manner.
Okay.
I don't think most people know more than 40 questions. And even in my second attempt, when I had studied so much, marks came out, sir, I have 123 marks. But despite that, I don't think I knew more than 40 questions with surety. The remaining of the paper is logical elimination, logical guessing, and intuition, sir. So we do not have to panic in the first layer when we are attempting the paper. And in fact, there is this one line that we are not trying to beat the exam, we are trying to beat the competition. So we just have to stay more calm than the people around us.
Okay, but how do you remain calm in the exam?
Sir, I had decided that until and unless I'm unable to do 17 questions in a row, I will not panic. Just come up with any number. I randomly chose 17 as a prime number.
Okay.
So I thought if I'm not able to do 17 questions in a row, only then I'll start to panic. And I had promised myself this. Sir, of course, it's easy to say this, but actually difficult to implement, because I remember when I was unable to do the first 2 pages of prelims paper, so some amount of panic did come in. Fortunately, there was this question on Siachen and one question on Barasingha, which in my set, which I was able to do, but with 100% confidence. So after that, I did the other questions. But the formula is simple, sir. We have to remember it's the same paper for everyone. We have to beat the competition, not the exams.
Okay. So in this 10 days, revision from the test series is important, or revision from the books would do?
Sir, whatever people have done before this, because right now, the one thing that you should not do is that change your strategy. For example, sir, in my second attempt, I did everything from test series. So I revised test series only. If someone has done it only from books, they should revise only the books. Nothing new, basically, at a T-10.
Okay. Yeah. Coming to your strategy in prelims, I'll not ask you about the static part of it, because the other interviews we have done it and people have got good enough inputs on that.
Sure, sir.
So for science and tech, gray areas like science and tech, environment, ancient history, medieval history, and art and culture, these are the 5 gray areas. What should be the strategy, and what are the sources to refer to?
So going one by one, for science and tech, there is really no strategy.
And one more thing, just to add on, even be it from prelims or mains perspective, these are the gray areas. So you can tell us about both prelims and mains perspective. Yeah.
So, sir, going subject by subject, for science and tech, for both the prelims and mains, I really don't think if there is any strategy. I did the PT 365 and I was reading the newspaper throughout the year, and whatever content I got from those, all the tests I gave basically. But I would say that science and tech is something more of people are ultimately using logical elimination. For example, some question will come, what are the possible applications of, let's say, drones, which came in 2020? And then we would just be applying logic that this seems possible, this seems possible, this seems possible. So let's mark D. It's more of that than actual knowledge. So next, environment. About mains, sir, I had made main specific notes. I think the mains environment syllabus is very specific. They have pollution, they have biodiversity conservation. For this, people can use the value-added material, as well as past years question papers. We can find individual content. Along with that, sir, test series basically. One disclaimer, I think, sir, I gave in different coachings or different seminars is that my strategy involves me repeatedly saying test series because that has been my approach. Not everyone likes this approach. Some people go with the exact opposite approach. Some people say that they'll give only 10-15 tests for prelims. But sir, my in general strategy for maths optional, for prelims, for mains has been tests and tests and tests, whether I read through them or whether I actually solve them.
So environment for prelims, is there anything for prelims, environment for prelims?
Sir, I had taken one was, so should I be naming the courses?
Yeah, fine.
So one was a Kaushik sir's course in the IS Hub for environment. It was also for science and tech. and one was Santosh Kumar sir's course on. It was for all year CA, but the environment portion was extremely good. I think then, sir, of course, the daily quizzes, like for with IS Baba, I did the 60-day quiz as well as the RRS. So RRS also had a specific focus on environment.
Yeah.
They,
Rapid revision series.
Rapid revision series, yes, sir. So more or less environment, that is it. For environment for mains, sir, it's not so much of a worry because it's only 15 or 20 marks usually. Basically, 110 marker and 115 marker. And the topics are broader in scope, so they will be covered in test series and the value added. Next, sir, art and culture.
Yeah.
Again, sir, like this is a gray area. What will happen is that for prelims, we have sufficient material. We have books like Nitin Singhania, we have Nitin Sangwan sir's notes, and we have the NCRTs. So a combination of these, I had read once. I had extracted notes. I had extracted notes from Nitin Singhania sir's book also, and I was adding content from the test series. So more or less for art and culture, I had bulky notes which I was using. But again, sir, art and culture, ancient medieval is you read so much, but then the question is completely unexpected.
So the input-output ratio should also be seen. The number of hours you
it's extremely low, sir. It's extremely low. And if someone is giving the first attempt, and if they do not have so much time, then ancient, medieval, art and culture are the topics you usually skip, minus the Buddhism, Jainism part, which is extremely important.
So for ancient and medieval, what were the sources that you referred specific to ancient and medieval?
So I think in 2018 or 19, I had made notes from the NCRTs. I had read only the boxes of Upinder Singh ma'am's book. This was after 2019 prelims, and the remaining content edition from the test series.
Okay. Is it really practically possible to complete Nitin Singhania's art and culture?
It depends how much we go into detail. For example, let's say there is a chapter on dances. If we start remembering every small detail about every dance, then I think obviously it will become extremely difficult. But let's say if you only decide, okay, dance and name of state, then it's much more practical. So a broader view, Nitin Singhania sir's book is definitely possible.
Okay. I usually tell them to work on themes. Say, for example, dance itself. One is the likely question that you get is which state, right? Kathakali, Kuchipudi, whatever it is, which state it is, then whether it's a classical dance or not, right? Then what is the theme of the dance? Whether it's a good battle between good and evil, etc. And one unique feature. Some dancers, like on a brass plate, they dance.
Yes, sir.
Right. So
Tarangam,
only this 4 and 5th one would be the kings who patronized it or the poets during that time. So I don't think apart from this 5 domains, the questions will come.
I think, sir, this is the perfect approach. I think more or less subconsciously I was doing this only except the 5th part. The king's part I left out.
Yeah.
The king's part I left out, but these 4 things. Plus, sir, more when we do questions, these things get highlighted. They'll ask questions like, dash is a unique feature of which dance.
Yeah.
So that will go into your mind.
Yeah.
Fine. So this is associated with this.
That is the best way actually to have a structure. Even when you're reading a government scheme, which ministry or department, what is the objective or purpose? 3 to 4 important recommendations, not more than that.
Yes, sir.
Right. Yeah. Then coming to the other, the difficult part to read and revise is current affairs. So what was your strategy for current affairs?
So after 2019 prelims, I read newspaper throughout the year. I would make my own notes, and I read the PT 365 of Vision. I did one quick reading, and I incorporated the important parts in my notes. Remaining of the knowledge came from test series. But sir, on final day, my experience was that it was the newspaper basically which helped. The questions were very broad. I think from current affairs, there were questions like MP lads, which was so much in news that time.
Yeah.
Then there was that West Texas intermediate question, which I remember one day I woke up and I saw that Indian Express headline. Okay. So it was the current affairs questions which came. I felt it was more of general awareness than extremely specific questions that test series or these coachings give.
Yeah. So that is what, that is the reason newspapers are an important part in the preparation. So how many hours would you, like you used to spend on newspapers, and which paper would you, were you reading?
Sir, I did the Hindu, one of the, I don't know how valid this decision would be today, because I think the Hindu has done away with their environment and science and tech page. One of them they have removed. But when I started, there was a detailed environment page and there was the science and tech page. So because of which I felt it was a clear choice for prelims, sir. About mains, the newspaper was not so important because mains deals with broad themes. So broad themes always coachings can provide in a summary form. It's the small facts for prelims which we often miss. About approximate time, sir, I would say it was 1 hour. Initially, when I started, it used to take more time, let's say like 1.5 hours. Gradually, it came down to 1 hour. It even went down to 50 minutes or so. This is excluding the time to make notes, sir, because I would make notes by coupling a few newspapers. Like let's say after 3-4 days, when I would have 4 newspapers, then I would make the notes together.
Okay. Since you spoke about notes, what is the best way to make notes? This is like something that is asked from a beginner's perspective, whether online or offline. And how do you segregate it? These are the two important things.
Sir, I made initial stages, I made offline notes, but I realized in 5-6 months, I think that when the current affairs started repeating, that I cannot go back and physically look for papers because it was becoming so difficult. So then I had to digitalize all my notes. It took almost 1.5-2 months, but it was definitely an exercise worth it. I would say I use OneNote to make online notes, and I think that is a much better idea. That is my opinion. Also, sir, when we make our own notes, we realize what is important, what is not important, because all the coaching compilations, they are basically a content dump, and it becomes extremely difficult to remember. But our actual reading of the headlines and our understanding is usually better. So that about the segregation, sir, for prelims, they can segregate as and how they want. The reason I say is that prelims is more about subconscious memory. That if you have read something, let's say 3 or 4 times, we will somehow remember it in exam. If not in the first layer, maybe in the second layer, or maybe in the third layer. But for mains, a strict segregation should be followed. That is, all content related to a particular topic should be at one place, and it should be very precise. The reason is that mains is about recollection. For example, if I have a topic like agriculture, or let's say food processing, a much more specific topic, so I should have 2 or 3 pages of content at one place, all case studies, all examples, the potential, the issues, and the possible solutions, so that I read those pages again and again. And when a question comes in actual exam, I'm able to recollect it instantly. Sir.
Okay. So even while making notes, is it like GS 1, 2, 3, 4 is a preferred mode, or in terms of national, international, the old way of making notes? Economics like that, which one would you prefer?
So for prelims, you can do it any way you want, as long as you're revising it 3 or 4 times. Prelims, it hardly matters. Still, I think I had one PDF for my current affairs, and I had PDFs. Actually, what I used to do was, since I was taking all the test series, so I just used to paste screenshots over there. So the PDFs had become extremely large for prelims. But for mains, it was much more systematic. It was like one PDF, mains society, then mains polity, mains economy. So that has everything in it. There would not be any separate current affairs PDF. There would not be any separate examples PDF or anything. For a particular topic, whatever is there in the corresponding PDFs.
Okay. Your strategy for mains preparation?
Sir, in particular, if any paper?
Yeah, any paper format. GS 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, what was your strategy?
So the basic idea, if I had to describe it in few lines, is that mains is about recollection. Given any topic, how quickly can you recollect the points? Because unlike prelims, which is a test of knowledge, or let's say test of logic, mains is a test of speed more than anything. People do not complete their paper, and which is why they often miss out, or people do not know what to write. But it's knowledge, speed, and writing skills. The writing skills comes from writing practice. For this, we can do a writing practice from copies of selected candidates or test series. So this is basically part 1. So part 1, answer writing practice, do either from copies of selected candidates or from test series, or both. I did both basically. The part 2 is the knowledge part. So in what way do we collect that knowledge? So the answer is simple, sir. It should be as concise as possible. Unlike prelims where you need to know hundreds of facts, Here you need to know 6-7 facts which you can recollect related to a topic. For example, let's say Indian society, women related. So you should know problems that women face in today's society. We should know schemes related to women. And this should be so concise, and we should have revised it so many times that we should be able to remember it instantly in the exam, sir. This is the major important thing, that in exam we will not have time to sit and recollect, sir. It has to be just in front of us, sir. Like if someone asks me problems related to women, and if I have to write, let's say, a conclusion in way forward, so I'll just write, we have certain schemes like, for example, A, B, C, D, and it should not take more than 1 or 2 seconds. So mains, the basic idea is as concise, as summarized notes as possible. Some people use the phrase micro notes. So for example, my PDF for a society, this was 90 pages for GS1 plus GS2. People have much better notes, sir, than me. A lot of toppers have uploaded it on Telegram, and I think people have made extremely good notes. But I would still recommend people make their own notes in their own language and condense it so much that you can go through almost 7-8 layers of mains notes. Unlike prelims, where 3 to 4 layers of notes is sufficient, in mains, more and more revision and more practice of active recall, so that we are able to remember points instantaneously, sir. So the two parts I basically talked about right now. Part 1 is answer writing. Part 2 is the knowledge aspect. And part 3, sir, the time distribution between prelims and mains. Everyone has to decide what will they give priority to. So here, the simple advice is that do not rely on any one thing. I'm saying this because a lot of people who have maths optional, they are given this advice that just focus on maths and maths khich le jayega. But it did not happen this year for a lot of people. And you cannot rely on your optional only. You cannot rely only on GS. So you cannot rely on any one particular paper of GS. Like, sir, I remember last year when the ethics scores came, I think we had scores in 160s and all. So everyone started focusing a lot on ethics. But this year, the marks did not cross 110 beyond a point for most. So focus on all subjects equally. We do not know which subject will work, which will not.
Okay. Coming to answer writing, the other part I wanted to ask you is time management in answer writing. So how do you write an answer 10 marker in 7 minutes and 15 marker in 11 minutes?
Sir, in exam hall, we write it in 7 and 11 minutes, but in practice, I would say that you do it in 5.5 and 9 minutes, because otherwise, sir, the questions on actual day are more difficult than test series. Test series asks very standard questions, but UPSC is known to give bouncers. So we practice it in 5.5 minutes and 9 minutes. Usually, I could not stick to these time limits. I would end up with 5 minutes 40 seconds and let's say 9.5 minutes. But so this exercise greatly helped me on that day because I was able to complete my ethics paper, sir, which a lot of people are not able to do. About, sir, how to go about this is we simply push that instead of going in a manner that first we'll build content. I would say that after 15-20 days where you feel you have the structure, start with the timer. Start with initially 7-11 minutes, then bring it down to 6.5, 10.5, then let's say we bring it down to 6 and 10. If we push for more in practice, then on actual day, we'll be in a much more comfortable position. The only one warning here I have to give is that make sure we shift our bio clock back to the actual timings 2 weeks before the exam. Otherwise, what will happen? We have 15 minutes left and we have filled the paper, so that quality has been compromised.
Okay. Coming to ethics, what was your strategy? Ethics and essay.
So for ethics, it was I read a lexicon and I read Mudit Jain sir's book that Decode Ethics. I made my notes, small notes. I made a list of examples, made a list of ethical dilemmas, and mostly, sir, went through selected candidates' copies as well as sir test series. So continuous practice of ethics. Ethics is, sir, something like maths. Okay. We just practice it more and more, and then we get the idea in our subconscious memory, because I have noticed it's the same kind of ethical dilemmas, same kind of examples that we are quoting again and again. So ethics is like maths, more practice.
Okay. So did you refer to any particular book for ethics?
Yes, sir. Lexicon and Mudit Jain sir's Decode Ethics.
Okay. Coming to essay, what was your strategy? Especially how to handle this philosophical essay?
Sir, I think 3 basic things I did. One was I wrote about 10 to 12 essays.
Okay.
for 2020 attempt. So 10-12 essays gives sufficient practice. 10-12 essays in the proper exam format. So I submitted them for checking and I worked on the feedback. For example, in my initial essays, one feedback which I was getting is I used too many headings. And when I read my own paper, I realized that this is true. It looks extremely bad and I could be penalized heavily for that on final day. So we work on the common feedback which different coachings or which different teachers give us. The second thing is, sir, we go through copies of selected candidates. So let's say you read 30, 40 essays, even more, sir. We can read from 2019 candidates, 2020 candidates, 2018 candidates, because essay is something that is more or less same in the last 3 years. And we understand their flow of thought, their structuring, how they used examples. And third is, sir, we brainstorm on, let's say, 30, 40 topics. So like I said, sir, I gave these 10 to 12 tests. So all these tests, the coachings would give section A and section B 4 topics. So the remaining 3 topics from each section, which I did not write on, I would brainstorm on. So we take a piece of paper, 15 minutes, we try to write down in points. What would be our approximate introduction? What would be our approximate conclusion? What kind of body we'll have, the multi-dimensional points. And then we compare it to either the model copy that the coaching has uploaded, or we try to find out more information from net.
Okay. Coming to interview, what was your strategy for interview?
Sir,
what do you think could have worked out for you?
I have 168 marks, so I don't think anything worked out.
Okay.
I think, sir, this is a question you should be asking those who did get 190 plus, sir.
Okay.
I remember I had a session with you, sir. At least I felt on final day that I should get 173 or 178.
Yeah.
But I do not know where I went wrong. So
that's difficult for me. See, that thing is interview. It's very subjective in nature. The board
yes, sir.
One that day. But as a person, when I took your one-to-one mock, I mean, you were a person who should have got at least 175 plus. That was something that.
Yeah. That was the feedback I was getting consistently. That 178, 182 is where you stand. But we do not know, sir, what is the perception they created on final day.
Okay. That happens.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anyways, at the end of the day, you've got All India rank 16, and
I'm extremely satisfied.
Yeah, that is more than enough. Because
yes,
see,
sir.
That year to get a rank, everything should fall in place.
Yes, sir.
Your optionals, your GS papers, your interview, everything. And I think you have achieved, and you deserve that applause. Yeah, coming to optional. Why did you choose Maths as your optional? And if you want to advise the beginners, what are the criteria that you need to look into to choose an optional?
Sir, Maths was the intersection of 3 things. I would say it was extremely high scoring. I liked Maths and I felt Maths was my strength. I could have chosen some other thing, let's say like sociology, but then I never liked humanities subjects as much as I liked Maths. I did not consider them to be my strength. And if they were not scoring, then it was a clear decision for me. So it would have been a more difficult choice. And it is often a difficult choice for people when the subject you like and thus is different from the subject which is high scoring. Then it becomes a difficult choice. So then I would advise that somehow try to find the perfect balance as far as possible.
Okay.
Because let's say if you like history a lot, but if history is not giving you marks, then maybe you have to compromise on the interest part and go towards a subject that is more scoring. I do not also recommend the other extreme. Let's say Maths is very high scoring, but if you do not like Maths at all, then you cannot be taking Maths. So you have to find that spot, that intersection.
Okay. If I have to summarize, it is the area of your interest, the scoring also, the trend, and the material and the guidance.
Yes, sir.
Okay. For Maths, did you take any coaching or was it your own preparation, self-preparation?
Sir, I took IMS. In Maths, I think there is only one coaching basically. Okay. So the IMS material I used, I even joined the classroom program for about 4-5 months. And I used that test series, almost 3-4 layers of test series.
Okay. Yeah. Coming to the do's and don'ts, if you have to summarize it, like what are the do's and don'ts in UPSC journey? Because there are many myths also involved, especially the beginners get confused with too many inputs from too many places, right? So what are the do's and don'ts here?
Sir, it's a very broad-ended question, sir. I think if you can quote some myths, maybe I can address them.
Okay, like uh, read 3 to 4 different materials for a subject. That is one.
I would say, sir, we have a middle ground. Basically, that first mistake which I made in prelims 2019, that our revision base should not be so large that we cannot revise it. This is one example, sir, I gave in a video. Let's say we have 3 options. Option 1, revise 1 book 9 times. Option 2, revise 9 books 1 time. Option 3, revise 3 books 3 times. So option 3 is the best option in my opinion, because the revision base is also large and we are also revising it a decent number of times.
Okay. Uh, uh, can we complete the syllabus, be it in prelims or mains, UPSC syllabus?
So syllabus itself is so wide and so broadly defined that I do not think it's possible to ever complete the syllabus in that sense. For optional, you can. For, let's say, maths optional, I could. But GS, it's so open-ended. Like, what exactly is current affairs? No one knows. How do you define it? Is it only 12 months, 24 months? Or could it be something that has been happening in this decade? Since we do not know these things. So that completing the syllabus is almost not possible.
Okay. So when you start preparing, you should leave that social circle of yours and just focus on your preparation. You should not speak to your friends or whatever it is. So will that work?
No, sir. Your preparation would not sustain beyond a point, because people's mental health suffers if they are too much in isolation. I say again, sir, that do not be on all kinds of social media, otherwise you'll be distracted. So some amount of sacrifice will be there. For example, I was not on Facebook or Instagram or these sites, but WhatsApp and Telegram was running almost throughout my preparation, sir. And I would regularly talk to friends so that the sustainability aspect of preparation is this.
Okay. Role of luck in the preparation, luck factor.
So a lot of it, sir. Especially, sir, for example, right from your optional, how does your option perform that year? For maths optional, that luck is less because maths scores high almost every year. But some humanities optional, sometimes they score very good, sometimes they score very less. The interview board which you get, some interview boards, or rather, I should say, your interview day, we do not know what kind of questions will be asked. And I cannot say that it's the same for everyone. Unlike prelims and mains, where even though the paper is random, it's the same for everyone. Here, it's not the same for everyone. Sometimes you just do not know basic questions you're forgetting that day. Luck, even, sir, if I talk about the mains exam, being physically and mentally healthy for 7 days, that itself, especially since that this 2020 mains was held during the time of COVID, even so, that is luck. So a lot of luck is there, sir. Luck is there in every exam. I just think in UPSC it's more than that in other exams.
Okay. And reading for 12 to 14 hours every day is required to crack this exam.
So I did 300 to 330 hours per month. I used the Forest app to count my hours. So that would come down to 10 to 11 hours on an average. In between pre and mains, I had touched 360 hours once. That is also, sir, 12 hours maximum.
Okay.
So 14 hours I have never done. I don't think I can ever do so.
So is it possible for a student to study for 10 hours for 1 year and maintain the same N2? Yeah.
I did for 2020. I was with my brother. My number of hours, it was 3,800 hours, and we have 365 days in a year. So that comes down to 10 and a half hours or something per day. Okay. And I think when you have at the back of your mind that kuch bhi ho jaye, is baat clear karna hi hai. So then that motivation comes naturally, I would say, sir.
Okay.
More than motivation, sir, it's the discipline that I tell people that on days when you're full of energy, do 12 hours. Even if your plan is 10 hours, do 12 and a half hours. On days which you're not feeling well, you do 6 hours. But the monthly target was 300 to 330 hours. Okay. I have to study.
So now I see why did you choose maths as your optional, right? You talk only on numbers, right? And that too for a year perspective as well, year and monthly.
Yes.
Okay. And since you brought this motivation into picture, so how were you motivated? How did you keep yourself motivated for 2 to 3 years continuously?
So 2 to 3 years, I don't think anyone can stay motivated. Sometimes there is a joke that in UPSC you watch a half an hour motivational video and then your motivation lasts 5 minutes. So it's not motivation that will carry you for these 3 years, it's the discipline, sir. That means even this is one strategy I used, since we are on the topic of motivation, that there are some topics which I call high inertia topics and then some topics called low inertia topics. For example, let's say I like maths a lot. So some topics of maths also will be my extreme favorite. And even on days when I don't feel like studying, if someone still gives me those problems, maybe I'll be able to push 2-3 hours. Or let's say some casual reading magazines. Let's say I used to do this for Down to Earth magazine because it's so fun to read that magazine. So if I'm not feeling like studying anything else, I'll just read that magazine by listening to music, or I'll just solve maths problems. On the other hand, there are high inertia topics. Let's say if you do not want to study ancient medieval at all. So the strategy is that on days when you are feeling very low on energy, very low on motivation, you do low inertia topics. That is the basic idea.
Okay. So what it takes to be successful in UPSC? You said one important factor is discipline that you've already mentioned. Apart from that, are there any other factors which will lead you to success in UPSC?
So discipline, consistency, sustainability. I think these are the keywords, more or less. Luck is also there, so we cannot deny luck. Right choice of optionals. This is something extremely important because this is something that is in your control. Right choice of optional. Then time management, I would say, because a lot of times people are unable to manage their time properly. Then I would say, sir, that exam mentality or that exam hall mentality, which is very crucial for prelims and interview, and I think crucial for mains also.
Okay. Coming to IS Baba's role in your journey, what did IS Baba play in your journey?
Sir, I was associated with IS Baba for both my attempts. For this attempt also, third attempt, but I'm not counting third attempt. Okay. So in first attempt, I used to do the IS Baba magazines. In fact, I did not do Vision or Insights magazines. I did IS Baba magazine because it was one of the only magazines which was giving mains and prelims content both in a very specific manner. I remember these were 230 to 40 pages magazines, while all other coachings used to have 70, 80 pages magazines. I stopped the magazines after first attempt because I started with the newspaper routine, sir. I did the 60-day quiz in both attempts. I did rapid revision series in second attempt. This program wasn't there in first attempt.
Yeah.
I did
because of COVID. Courtesy COVID, we started with rapid revision series.
Sir, it was a very good program, sir.
Yeah.
Then, sir, IS Baba test series. For prelims, I did for first attempts the whole test series. For second attempt, I think I did the open test majorly.
Yeah. And coming to this, since you mentioned about magazine, our magazine, we have changed it in the last 2 months. So whenever you have a time, just look into it. What we have done is the PIB, RSTV, everything is included. AR is included in the current affairs magazine. And as you said, it was bulky. That was one of the feedbacks that we had got. And we made it like around 100 to 120 pages itself, precise, concise, and to the point. So it's a completely new avatar. Whenever you get time, just look into it because it includes everything, not only newspapers, but also PIB, RSTV, AR, everything is included there.
Sure, sir.
Yeah, once again, a hearty congratulations from the entire team of IS Baba. And thank
you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. And all the best in your endeavors.
Sir, thank you, sir.